Have you ever bought something because someone said it would make your life better and then it totally didn't? Same. So before we jump into this gift guide, here's the truth. You already have everything you need to make beautiful lettering right now. But after trying hundreds of pens over the years, I also know that the right pen works with you, not against you. And everyone has different styles, budgets, and creativity, which is why I'm sharing all of my favorites so you can pick what fits for you. There are over 60 gift ideas in this guide, organized into 12 sections. All the links are in the description, and I'll put timestamps for each section in the pinned comment so you can jump right into what you need. Hello, lettering friend. I'm Sarah from Ensign Insights, where creativity matters more than perfection. Beginner hand lettering supplies. These are the brush pens and tools that you should get if you're learning hand lettering. Starting with my book, Hand Lettering for Beginners, this has everything you need to learn the basics, and it has lots of practice sheets and multiple lettering styles and projects. It's the most simple way to get started. Next, Pentel brush pens. These are great small brush pens for practice. They're really inexpensive. They work well with the worksheets in the book. Next is tracing paper. You'll want some tracing paper if you are tracing over worksheets. Next is a Rhodia notepad. This has the smoothest paper. These notepads are great for practice. And if you do want to start a journal, the Strathmore Visual Journal with Bristol paper is my very favorite. It has thick paper. It doesn't bleed through. You can blend on the paper. Hand lettering gifts for kids. If you have a creative kid who wants to letter, this is what I'd get. Everything from the beginner lettering supplies still applies to kids if your kid is mature enough and knows how to write. So see the Pentel here, you are going to have to be able to know how to use a pen really well. So Crayola markers might not be fun for some kids if your kid already has a bunch of these Crayola markers, but I still enjoy getting a new big set of these. Crayola markers are so great to learn hand lettering. You just have to learn how to push hard with them. They're perfect for kids who don't know how to handle a brush pen yet. Also, Crayola Super Tips. This is the pack that I'm getting my 5-year-old this year. It's pretty colors. I'm going to enjoy lettering with them. She might trace some alphabets. These are similar to Crayola Broadline, but they are smaller and you don't have to push as hard. Then we have Artline sticks. These are the coolest because it's a brush marker and it's a Lego. So if you have creative kids, I don't know what's better. They'll be lettering and they'll be building things. The brush tip is good, not as bouncy as I prefer, but for kids lettering, these are great. These are the Bic Magic markers, and they have a really nice brush tip. But the cool thing is that you can uncap them, and I think the package said 90 days, and I have tested it. I have another video. It lasted at least a month. So if your kids forget to cap markers like mine, these ones are great. These are the Ohuhu paper-friendly markers, and look at this beautiful set. They're really inexpensive. This would be a fun gift for maybe a tween who loves to create. It's a brush tip and it's a fine tip, and this brush tip is a little squishy, so I maybe I'm not going to say for a serious hand letterer, but for someone who is just dabbling, or for a creative kid who loves using a lot of colors, wants to color with these. They are paper friendly, meaning you're supposed to be able to do multiple layers without tearing the paper or any pilling. It's so fun to have the dual ends also. I thought it was an A. I wrote pape, but it's a U, so it's poupe. I don't know. Someone will have to tell me. These Uli erasable markers are so much fun for kids, for me too. They have other markers that change colors, and you don't know what color they're going to be. This marker set changes to white, which I prefer, but you know your kid. One side is the chisel tip for the colored side, and then the other side is the clear side that erases them. Acrylic markers. These are really popular right now, and for good reason. The first in this section is Sharpie Creative Markers. These come in a brush tip, a bullet tip, and brand new, a fine tip, and they are coming out with new colors. I have lots of videos about these because I like them so much, and the brush tip is really nice. The bullet tip and fine tip are cool because you can actually get good lettering with them. It's almost like when you're lettering with Crayola. The tip is squishy, and so if you push harder, then you can get the thick downstrokes and thin upstrokes. They're the most unique acrylic marker that I have. The magic of acrylic markers is that you can layer on top of other colors. So especially the white in the Sharpie is a really, really nice opaque white. I do sometimes want another layer, but I love filling my journal with these. They're really good acrylic markers. I have a few other acrylic markers that I'm going to share, and I like all of them. So it just depends on the color palette that you like, or maybe the price range that you're looking for. Let me show you all the ones that I like. These are the Art X acrylic markers, and I absolutely love these. This is the liquid acrylic version and just the regular acrylic version. They're both called acrylic markers, so you just have to know. These ones, the liquid version, they just barely came out with a new set that has more colors. And these are probably my favorite brush tip acrylic markers of all of my acrylic markers. The brush tip is really nice and bouncy. It's not too soft, and it's really liquidy. You can see how juicy it looks as I'm lettering this. And then this is the set that has 90 markers, and I did have to put all those stickers on the colors. That was a lot, but these ones are a little more dry than the other ones. And the reason I like these is because sometimes you don't want it to be so juicy. So these ones still have enough ink. It's not like they're dry, but it's not as juicy that you have to shake it. The other ones you have to shake, these ones you don't. And they just came out with 120 colors of these ones. I need to do a review video of both of these new ones. Stay tuned for that. The most exciting thing about these new ones for me was that the sticker is on the bottom already. So I didn't have to go on and do all of those stickers. They still have a sticker, I guess, if you want to put it on the lid, but I won't be doing that. As I'm using this in my journal, you can see that it is a thin layer of acrylic, so it is not as juicy. And the reason I love these though is because they're my favorite to use with my kids. Because they're not so juicy, I'm not worried about them getting so messy everywhere. The paint doesn't splatter. My kids wouldn't know how to shake the other ones properly. The brush tip is still really nice for hand lettering. They also do great to color and fill in a background. I've used them with kids from toddler to teenager, and everybody loves these. Even my husband loves these, which is huge coming from someone who rarely colors. Now looking at the liquid ones, you can see in my journal that it is a thicker layer of paint. So that's the main difference between the two. These ones you have to shake. It's not an annoying shake. You don't have to pump them or anything. I usually keep these ones for myself because I do love the brush tip. They feel a little bit fancier. By the way, I've tried lots of Art X markers. They have lots of different types, and these two sets are my favorite ones, and I would recommend them. These acrylic markers, like most acrylic markers, look great on black paper, especially the white. We like to color with them in coloring books, but it does cover up the black outline, so just be aware of that. But if you have never used acrylic markers, you should think about gifting them this year because they are so good. I don't know how to say the brand of this one, Goingna maybe, and I bought these ones because there's a bullet tip and a brush tip. The box is a little tricky because it has a top row and a bottom row, and so it would be hard to find all the colors that you want. They're all just like placed on top of each other, and they have a good amount of colors. This is just the 36 set, and you do have to shake these ones as well. You don't have to pump, but you do have to shake. And the brush tip is definitely more soft than the other ones that I was talking about. So this one, if your main purpose is for hand lettering, with the brush tip, this one is not the top one that I would recommend, but the nice one about this one is the bullet tip. So because it has the bullet tip, that is why I really like these ones and I'm sharing them. Maybe you just like the option of having two sizes in one marker with the same color. Before the next one, I just want to say if you're gifting acrylic markers, you also might consider gifting some canvases because that is such a fun way to use your acrylic markers. These are a medium size, but I've also seen mini ones, which would be really cute. I hope I'm going to say this one right. I think it's Linguo. And these ones are acrylic, but they're also gel pens. So you're going to see these in a few sections in this video. And these are a newer purchase for me, so I still need to do a full review video, but this is so much fun. If you love gel pens, These ones are really cool. They do have some downsides, so let me share that with you. They're like a blend between acrylic markers and gel pens. So you do have to hold it up straight because as you are pressing the ball, that is how the ink is coming out. So if you're not pressing hard on the ball, the paint will not come out. So you can't be sideways, you can't go too fast, and they are slow to dry. So if you're a lefty, this might be difficult for you. They are the most unique gel pen that I have, but they are not for everyone because maybe you don't want to hold it straight and press really hard, but they are amazing. Now let's get into small brush pens. If you're just starting out, I highly recommend small brush pens. They are so much easier to practice with. These ones are Rytech and they come with several different colors. I really like this set that I have. It's a really nice brush tip and it is easier to write with. Any small brush pens, these ones are easier to write with because there's less of the brush to control. So it's easier to learn how to control them on these. Next is the Tombow Fude, and these ones are nice because they come with a hard tip and a soft tip. So this pack is good if you don't know if you like a hard or soft nib. This one comes with both. So this first one I'm writing with is the hard nib, and you do have to push harder. It's nice to get really thin upstrokes. And then with the softer nib, you can still get the thin upstrokes, but it's not quite as drastically thin. So really, it's just about personal preference and the style you're going for. Next is the Pentel Touch brush pens. These ones come in lots of colors. These are my personal favorite, probably the nostalgia that these were my very first small brush pens. But honestly, these are very similar to Rytech. I just like the colors of the Pentel, but the brush tip itself is probably similar. Next, these ones are really unique. You're going to see these again. These are Monami Plus Pen 3000. And these are technically supposed to be a fine tip pen, but it's slightly squishy, flexible, and so you can get calligraphy with them. These are good if you like really small lettering, like really, really small. And you can also use them as a fine tip if you're just not pressing hard. These are the Pentel Sign Pen Twin Brush, and these are newer to me. These are really cool. I need to make a full review video about them. They have a big brush tip on one side and the small brush tip on the other side. And the small brush tip is very similar to the other Pentel. It's maybe a little bit more flexible than the other Pentel, but what I like about it is that you've got the dual tip. And so if you're only buying one set of pens, you can get this one and have the large brush tip and the small brush tip. And I'll share more about the large side in the next section. Large brush pens. This is the biggest section, so grab a snack or your water bottle if you need. These first ones are Zebra Mildliner brush pens. I love these so much. They are one of my favorites, and I have all 25 colors, but there is a 10 pack that comes with most of the colors I use besides this little green. So if you don't want to get all 25, this 10 pack has all the best colors that I love. I love this brush tip. It's really flexible. It bounces right back. It's not too soft. It's the perfect firmness, and it's dual-ended, so it's got the fine tip on the other side. Next is Tombow Dual Brush Pens. These ones I actually rarely use. There are certain things that I do love these for, but the brush tip is so long that it is a little bit harder to control. So these are a little bit tricky to start as a beginner. I will say I love the bullet tip. It's nice and thick. It's one of my favorites. Also, these ones are probably one of the most popular, so you might see them around a lot. They're important to know, but in my opinion, they are pretty expensive and I prefer other markers. Next are DOMs. Oh my gosh, you guys, they came out with pastel. I don't know if they're new or not, but they're new to me and I have been loving these. I've been using them nonstop. It comes with a blending marker, which I never use, and a metallic one, silver, and I've never used that one either. But the pastel colors is the exact color palette that I always want. These ones are a long brush tip and they are soft, but it's not like a floppy fish where it's going to fray as soon as you use it. It does take a little more control because it is soft. I actually do really like this brush tip. And since I got these ones recently, I just couldn't stop filling my journal with these rainbows because I just love this color palette so much. So if you have not tried these, this is the one that I would tell you to get today, if you like the pastel rainbow colors like I do. Next is Stabilo. These ones are really good brush pens. I think they're a little more expensive, but the brush tip is so good. It's really bouncy. It bounces right back into place. It's more of a medium length, so it's a little bit easier to control. The colors they come in aren't my favorite, like the pastel ones, and so I don't use them as often as other ones. But if you need a really great one to start, these are amazing. Now we're back to the Pentel Sign Pen Twin Brush. So looking at the large brush tip side, this one is a really nice brush tip. It's a little more soft, but like I said before, I do like that it comes with the large and small. So if you're only getting one set, this could be a really great set. So you've got the small side to practice and then the large side as well. Next is the Sailor Shikiori. I think that's probably not how you say it. These ones have the dual ended as well. These ones are newer to me. I need to do a full review video about them. The brush tip side is really, really good. It's just the right bounce. And the fine tip side feels like really high quality. They are a little more expensive. So these feel like fancy brush pens if that's the kind of gift that you're looking for. I will do a full review video about them soon. Acrylic markers, these are my absolute favorite. They have so many different kinds, but these 4 sections right here are what I love the most. The neon colors in the regular brush and the real brush. And then in the large set, just the very first ones that ever came out, these are the colors that I use. So if you have never tried these, you could get the small 12-pack set just to try them out. These are so juicy. I use them as watercolor as well. I love the brush marker and then also the real brush. The brush tip is perfect. Absolutely the best brush tip ever. The real brush has bristles. I personally really like these. I know not everyone does. It's a little harder to control with the separate bristles. Of all the markers that I have, these are the ones I use the most. Here's a couple pages from my journal just recently. And then here is a piece that I did a long time ago to show you how you can do these letters and you can blend with them. And I'll show you later how you can use them for watercolor as well. So besides the color palette that I made myself, I also love the neon colors. It comes with a pack of 12, and I usually don't like neon or fluorescent, but I love these ones. They do come in their own set. These are the Kuretake Fudobiori, and I used to recommend these as the #1 brush pen to get when you're learning, and I still do think they're really good. If you are just doing practice worksheets, these ones are so nice. The bounce of the brush tip is really good. And you know what? I've been filming a lot. I spelled it wrong. I just crossed it out. Not going to be a perfectionist about this. We've got a lot more pens to get through. If your goal is to practice hand lettering, these ones will help you get beautiful lettering. These are the Papermate Flare, not to be confused with the regular Papermate Flare fine tip. These have the brush tip side and the fine tip side. So these ones are fun if you already know that you love Papermate Flare. Now you've got a brush tip as well that matches the color. This is a longer brush nib, so it's a little bit harder to control, but it's still a lot of fun. Briefly, I just wanted to mention metallic brush pens. I love the Caran Deco brush, but there are a few other metallic brush pens that are also really good. This just gives you another option if you maybe want to use it on black paper. It depends on what you're creating. These are the Pigment Arts pen from Staedtler. They did recently send these to me and I haven't reviewed them yet. Because they're pigment based, they don't fade. They're not water based, so they won't smudge if you color over them. They're permanent and waterproof and they don't bleed through, so there's no ghosting. And I wanted to share these because most of the other markers that I've shared are dye based. Pigment based will last longer. They're a little bit more expensive, but they're waterproof and they're not going to fade. So this is if you are doing more high quality work. I'm a huge fan of Staedtler because they made one of my favorite markers that we'll get into later. But the brush tip on these ones is smaller, but it's a really nice bounce. You can get that really thick, almost chunky downstroke while also having the thin upstroke really easily. But I love a brush tip that I can get a good variety, so I can do the really chunky lettering, but also get really small lettering as well. I will say the brush tip seems to stay bent slightly, so then I just twist my pen a little bit and start bending it on the other way. So that isn't a problem for me, but that might bug somebody. They also sent me this multi-ink blending liquid, so this is how you would use them as watercolor because you have to use this kind of liquid instead of water since they are waterproof, but I will do a full review video to cover everything. The one thing to watch out for when you're choosing a large brush pen, I wouldn't get the ones with these ridges. Do you see on these pens that they've got ridges? I noticed when I tried these cheap brush markers that there's a bunch of these and it's like a generic pen that somebody puts their brand on. And so it's a rule of thumb for me that I just don't buy brush pens with ridges because I already know what they're going to be like and they're kind of a floppy fish that frays quickly. Fine tip and bullet tip pens are so important to use in lettering. The first ones that I always recommend are these Fly-C acrylic painter pens. They come in a pack of 6 with 3 white and 3 black, and I love these ones. It's a fine tip, and I've tried other fine tip acrylic markers like this and they don't work as well. These ones are super opaque and the paint comes out smooth. This is a Zig Rider. It's waterproof. It has dual ends. So one side is 1.2 millimeters and one side is 0.5 millimeters. I love this for extra little details. I like that I have the bold tip and the fine tip in the same pen. These liner pens are great. I have the Micron right here. It comes in lots of different sizes, even more than what this is. I recently found this one. It's a Sakura Micron PN. I don't know what the PN stands for, but I really like this tip. I feel like it writes smoother and I can write at any angle with it. I also recently got the Staedtler pigment liner in the 1.2 millimeter size, and I really like the bold line. It writes really smoothly. These pens are waterproof and I use them so often. This pen is magic, the best gold pen that I've ever had. It's a Marvy Deco color and it's called the fine tip. There's also a chisel tip. This one says it's 3 millimeters. There's also an extra fine tip, but this one is my favorite. Look how shiny that is. Next, if you want a gel pen for gold and white, the Uniball Signo, these ones are really opaque and write really, really smoothly. The gold one is my favorite. I think this is the most opaque white gel pen, but ever since I found the Fly-C acrylic pen, I use that one more often. The Sakura Jelly Roll gel pens are just as good now as they were when I was a kid. These are some of my favorite gel pens. They're great if you want a lot of colors. The sets that I prefer are the Moonlight for the bright colors and the Metallic for the shiny colors, still in the rainbow colors I love. I also have Stardust, but I don't like these ones as much. But the Moonlight and Metallic have all the colors that I love. The ink flows really nicely. They're super smooth. I have gifted these a few times to nieces and they love them. If you love gel pens and you want an even fancier gel pen, these are Acrylic Markers. They're maybe a little bit more expensive. They do come with more pens. I have the 3 sets, the Metallic, the Star Sparks, and the Milky Way. The Star Sparks are like shiny and glittery. The Milky Way are bright, maybe more like the Moonlight colors. And the Metallic are shiny. Karen makes really good products. The ink flows right out of these pens. So maybe the Jelly Roll is a good entry point, and these ones are good if you know you love gel pens and you want to feel a little more fancy. I'm mentioning these Languo acrylic gel pens again. The ink flows out of these so nicely, but remember, you do have to push the ball down. The ink doesn't come out unless you are pushing down. So they can be really amazing, but they're not for everyone. And once again, I need to mention the Monami Plus Pen 3000. These ones, remember, can be like a small brush pen, but they are also a fine tip. They come in lots of colors. They are not waterproof, so these are just nice if you like a lot of colors in a fine tip. Journals and notebooks have improved my hand lettering because I want to fill them. Archer and Olive is my favorite for fancy and high quality. The paper is thick, there's no bleed through, it lays flat, there's gorgeous covers. It's expensive, so I stock up when there's sales. I love the pocket size because I don't feel the pressure to fill the whole page. I had a subscriber tell me about Yop and Tom as an alternative to Archer and Olive. They are less expensive, you can get them on Amazon. The paper is very smooth, it has page numbers, and there is a little T in the very center and lines to split it in half. So you may want that and you may not. Rhodia notepads are inexpensive. The paper is incredibly smooth. These ones are great to practice on. There's lots of options. You can get a dot grid, you can get blank, you can get graph paper. There's all kinds of binding options. If you don't know where to start with a Rhodia notepad. The Strathmore Visual Journal with Bristol Smooth paper is amazing. It has just this boring brown cover, but I decorated it. I had been using loose sheets of Bristol paper for a long time, and then I realized it comes in a journal, and so I started using it in the journal, and it is so much better. It doesn't bleed through. Even my Marvy Deco Color in gold doesn't bleed through. I can blend on this paper, and it's incredibly smooth. The Ohuhu marker pad is a new find for me. There's something about this paper that doesn't allow bleed through even on alcohol markers, and alcohol markers bleed through everything, even Archer and Olive. I rarely use alcohol markers, but I recently tried some, and look, I can do double-sided with alcohol markers and it doesn't bleed through. If you want to do watercolor, this Canson XL watercolor notebook is the best one. It's great quality watercolor paper and it's inexpensive. You can only use one side because the back of the paper has a different texture than the regular watercolor paper, but it's not bleeding through, so technically you could, it would just have a different texture. You might enjoy having black paper journal. I have one in the Archer and Olive, but they don't always have black paper journals in stock. So I also found this black paper sketchbook with a spiral binding, and I have to mention HP Premium 32 paper. If you just want to practice on loose sheets of paper, this paper is the best. It's so smooth. You could print worksheets on this. It's amazing. Unique hand lettering pens. These ones are not your typical brush pens. They have something a little bit different. So for example, like Crayola is not a hand lettering brush pen, but you can get hand lettering with it. Monami earns a spot on this list as well because they are fine tip and a small brush pen. This is if you like really tiny small lettering. The Staedtler Tri Plus highlighter. I love this color palette. These pens are the ones that brought me out of a really rough time, and I will forever be grateful to these pens. I love them so much. It's technically a highlighter, but because it's a squishy tip, you can do hand lettering. They are a little more transparent, so you can layer them on top of each other. Because they're not an actual brush pen, they don't fray. I will forever love these. You gotta try them. These are the Kuretake Zig dot markers. I love this color palette. Kuretake has other dot markers as well in other colors, but these are the ones that are dual-ended that have the fine tip as well. And what I really love about these is that you can do hand lettering. You can get the thick downstrokes. All of your edges are going to be really rounded because of that round circle marker. And then of course I like having the fine tip on the other side as well. And you can get different sizes of dots with them depending on how hard you're pushing. These are Ohuhu dot markers, and I originally tried the dot side and I found that it's not as flexible or squishy as the Kuretake. And so these ones are better for dots, better than hand lettering. But then what really got me is the fine tip side is not a fine tip, it's a brush tip. And it's a really good brush tip for small lettering. So once again, it's a set that has two things in one, which is always really helpful. I've got a lot of great pen case recommendations. These are always a fun gift and they help you organize. I found this 5-star pencil case at Five Below, and then online it was way more expensive, and so I found these Mester pen case, and it's less than $5. I really like these ones. You flip the top down and then it stands up like a pencil jar. I like that the bottom is see-through so you can tell what pens are in there. These pencil cases are sometimes called telescopic. I love these ones. They're not clear, but they stand up on your desk like a jar, but then you just zip it up and you can take it with you. I have been collecting these over the years. I've started seeing more designs coming out. This would make a really cute, fun gift. These clear pencil pouches are a little more practical. I used to use little trays in my drawers to organize my pens, but then I found these, and I like these ones so much better. You can squish them together so I fit more in my drawer, and they're easy to take with me on the go. This Piggy pencil pouch is a little more specialty and not as practical. It only holds a smaller amount of pens, and it's kind of awkward to push up the bottom to be able to stand up, and then you pop it back out when you close it. I've seen these with lots of different animals, so it is a cute gift, but it is a little more specialty item. There are some basic supplies that will make your hand lettering easier, and these are not brush pens. First is a pencil, of course, find one you love. Next is a kneaded eraser. I use this to lighten my pencil sketch. The Tombow Mono Zero is so tiny. And then the Sumo Grip eraser, I love this one because I don't lose it in my pencil pouch. A Helix Circle Maker is so nice. This Black & Decker laser level helps me to get straight lines. It really comes in handy. Next is tech stuff, and for today I only have one on my list, and it's this Moft tripod. Over the years, I have tried so many tripods, and nothing has been quite right until this mocked one. You can get a lower angle and a higher angle, and my phone attaches with MagSafe, so it's really easy to snap it on. I can move it to any angle really easily. I use this when I'm filming up-close video with my phone, and I also use it when I'm watching a tutorial or just watching a show while I'm lettering. I am so excited about this one because I finally found a tripod that I love. Watercolor lettering supplies. If you like watercolor, you'll need a watercolor notebook, and also I love water brushes. I use Acrylic Markers for my watercolor most often. I just get some of the ink on the palette and then I use my water brush and I brush it on. Technically, you don't need a water brush. I just find that it's a little bit easier, and especially when you're doing lettering, it's easier to get the right wet consistency. There are a lot of generic water brushes. I really prefer Pentel or Kuretake. Pentel is a little more firm and Kuretake is a little more soft, so it's just a personal preference. But I like that they come in a pack of 3, so I can have the small, medium, and large because I use all 3 of them for different purposes. This is a Caran d'Ache water brush in a bullet tip. This one is very specialty. You can see I got the ink on from my Caran marker directly, and this is if you like monoline lettering with watercolor. So normally you wouldn't be able to get monoline lettering very easily, but this Caran d'Ache makes it really easy, and it is a very specialty item, like I said, so it's a very specific type of person who wants to use this. I have really enjoyed mine. A King Art Inkline pen is another way to get monoline lettering with watercolor. It is a really fine tip, and I need to make a full review on it. Next are glass pens. I just dip it in watercolor and then you can letter with them. It is monoline lettering. You can do faux calligraphy and get the thick downstrokes. This is a little more of a specialty item. It feels really fancy if you've never used a glass pen. It is pretty magical. Caran markers work great for watercolor because they are so juicy, but you could also get this Ecoline liquid watercolor and you just dip your glass pen right in. If you want some lovely gold watercolor, I have the best set. I love it so much. I've used up a whole set and I'm on to the next one. When you add enough water and get the right consistency, you can use it with your glass pen, but also you could just use it with a paintbrush and do it on any lettering piece. It's these Kuretake starry colors. I also recently purchased the pearl colors and the gem colors and the opal colors just to try them out because I know that I love the starry colors. I needed to replace my starry colors because I was out. You can see it goes on so smoothly, and it is a beautiful touch to add some gold to your lettering. It's really opaque and it sits on top of your other colors. It's good for if you like watercolor or if you just like gold. Okay, if you're still here, wow, that was the longest video I've ever made. I hope you found something new that you haven't tried before. If you want to learn how to actually fill a journal with brush pens, check out this video. I'll see you there.